And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 146. This is a special Game 1 post-game episode. So, we decided let's meet up after a game and we'll just shoot the breeze for about 5-10 minutes about what we saw and what we expect and blah, blah, blah. So before the game started, I'd just like to point out that Treg decided he was going to show up for this one. So it's just me and Matt.
He's got a good reason, though. He does.
He got stabbed in the arm with a vaccine. So now he's fully vaccinated. Blah, blah. At least he can't.
I'll let him have this one. Let him have this
one. We'll let him have this one. Yeah. At least he wore pants when he went to get him.
That we know of.
Yeah. I think Tina forced him to wear pants. It happens.
She probably does that most times.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to point out this morning that Habs Unfiltered has decided to donate $25 for every Montreal Canadiens playoff win to the Montreal Canadiens Children's Foundation, which provides opportunities for disadvantaged youth. So with the Canadiens winning Game 1 against the massive, dynastic, juggernaut Leafs, that's $25 in the bank. Hopefully, one of many $25 donations that we were going to be giving. So if anyone is willing to share that post, share the link for where to donate. I know things have been tough with the pandemic for a lot of people. So I'm not asking you to donate if you can't. Just share the link, share the fact that we're doing this, because we have been lucky enough to not be affected financially by this pandemic. So with our jobs, we're able to afford to do this little bit to help others. So if you can donate, great. If you can't, share it. Just share it. So
before we start, I'd like to say one more thing. For our regular listeners on our last show, with Brian Mudrick, I had a little bit of a talk a little bit about kind of my mental health during COVID and the effects that it's had on me, and what I've turned to. And I've had a couple people throw me direct messages in Twitter and reach out to me and just ask if I'm okay, and I really appreciate that. It shows a lot, and they said, like, you guys have really helped me through this. The game of hockey's helped me through this. This podcast helped me through this, and seeing some encouraging messages on there just to kind of say, keep your head up. You'll see your family soon. You'll see your friends soon. You'll eat some East Coast grub soon, etc. Put a smile on my face. So I want to thank everyone that reached out to me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So when you get out here, come see me. I got some.
Absolutely.
I got some lobster.
Let's do it.
I have an inside man that gets me the free lobster.
I'm in.
Yeah. So my father-in-law, he
perfect
loads me up. So all right. Let's get to the first game. The Canadiens are the massive underdogs.
Yes.
I don't think anybody gave them a chance in hell to win this series, let alone most of them had them winning maybe a game.
If that.
Yeah. If that. I believe, what was Nick Kyprios's thing? I'll be nice and give them one game.
I didn't know Nick Kyprios had anything to do with hockey anymore.
Well, he's got a podcast.
I didn't even know that. That shows just how relevant he is.
About as relevant as we are.
I'd listen to me.
Well, I listen to you.
Oh, there you go.
Your dulcet tones and velvet voice.
Oh yeah, like
the Michael Bublé of podcasts.
Now we got to get Michael Bublé on the podcast.
Yeah. All right. So they came into this series as complete underdogs. There's no pressure on the Canadiens. There was a ton of pressure on the Leafs. And I want to get into the game, but right off the top, we need to say all our thoughts and prayers are with John Tavares and his family right now, while us hoping that it's a minor thing that he suffered that injury in game one. We hope it's minor. We hope he recovers completely and quickly so he can come back in this series.
Never something you want to see. It's
No,
and it doesn't matter that it's the Leafs. It doesn't matter that it's the
no,
Habs versus the Leafs. That could have been John Tavares, could have been Austin Matthews, that could have been anybody on either side, and we'd be saying the same thing. John Tavares is a tremendous hockey player, and yeah, we wish him all the best. You never want to see something like that, and we hope he returns to health.
we do. And from there, we'll move on to the rest of the game. The Canadians were they came in with a game plan. They clearly did. They out-hit the Maple Leafs. They finished all their checks. They made sure that life was not easy for Matthews and Marner's line. Just Danault on them at all times. Every check was finished. You saw that one play where Matthews goes in and he hits Sherratt between the numbers, then gets a little bit of a horse collar, but he is just giggling like a schoolgirl because the referee's right there.
Yeah,
So
he knows he can't be touched. He knows he can't be touched.
So I found that to be a bit of a greasy thing, but that's part of the game. That's, you're trying to get under the opponent's skin. It's just part of the game. But the Canadians responded, and I think they came out with a gutsy win.
Yeah.
They got dominated in the possession stats. The Leafs controlled the Corsi and led in the expected goals for. However, the Canadians had the high danger chance per game. So they outchanced them, and it paid off. That 2-1 win, a close, gutsy win. So what do you think?
So my thoughts on the game, just a few key points. The Canadians looked really dangerous on the rush, and we've seen throughout the season when they shoot on the rush, when they get opportunities on the rush, good things happen. And I don't remember the exact stat off the top of my head, but there was a stat that says if they get this many per game, they have like a ridiculous record. And tonight we saw that. We saw that when they were stagnant, especially their power play, which we can get into later on if you want. When they're stagnant, they weren't doing anything. When they were on the rush, they were creating chances. They were creating second chances. And the jersey I'm wearing right now of Power Horse Josh Anderson, he was, in my opinion, most noticeable player on the ice on both sides, on either side. Was on the rush, was physical, was in the game, and he was a playoff performer that the Canadians have been looking for a while. In terms of the style of the game, you mentioned the physicality aspect of it. Canadians out-hit the Leafs 55-27 in this game.
But Sportsnet said they were going toe to toe, and everyone it was a battle. They were taking hits and giving hits.
What the Canadians did, and what I noticed is when they dumped the puck in, they followed the puck, and whoever was on it, and I'll give a shout out to Lehkonen for this. He was like a homing missile every now and then, and like he would come in and he was finishing his checks. Paul Byron was finishing his checks, and he always did. He always does. What I noticed is that the Canadians, if they could play the puck along the boards, they were doing so. They were trying to more or less
they were neutralizing the speed.
They were neutralizing, but they weren't trying to bring it up. They were trying to bring up the center of the ice to avoid those kind of hits, yet make the Leafs go to the outside to throw those hits.
Yeah, by keeping the pucks along the boards to the outside, they can wind up a little bit and try and pick up their own speed. And at the same time, on defensively, it forces the Leafs to the outside.
Yeah.
It slows them down and it makes it easier to cut them off and finish them off with a hit.
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot tonight.
Yeah. And for all the talks, and you know what, I was part of this as well, and I was a little bit surprised how well for the most part, the lineup looked. They went with a veteran lineup, and it paid off.
Yeah, I'm still on the record that I do not agree with how they lined it up. But then again, I am not the coach.
Yeah.
It's Ducharme's job to make the lineup, and he won the game. Granted, it was a 2-1 win, and they kind of gutted that one out. And I know we're going to see some changes in the next game. We'll get into that in our next episode.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially now with Evans, he left the game injured. I'm expecting some changes there. But before he went out hurt, his line with Lehkonen and Byron, you brought up Lehkonen,
yeah.
they were going up against the Matthews line. They were rotated through. It saved some ice for Danault. It kept him fresher later into the game. And we saw it. It worked. I mean, Matthews did get 7 shots on net, 8 shots on net. And if you're wondering how the shots looked, just go watch Sportsnet. They got every single one on a rotation on a replay, and none of them were really that dangerous. On that line, the only one that was really dangerous was the Marner shot that Price absolutely robbed him on.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, Price looked good, and you know, they brought it up on Sportsnet a couple times, saying, "Oh, this is a guy that got lit up in the AHL a couple days ago," and it's yeah.
There you go. They got beat by an AHL goalie, I guess. So you did a poll during the game.
I did, yes.
Explain to us what that is about.
So once again, this we wish all the best to John Tavares. This in no way sways that. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay, I follow over 9,000 people on Twitter, and I have almost 13,000 followers myself. So I get it, and I live in Ontario. Remember this: I live in Ontario. I'm from New Brunswick. I'm a Canadiens fan. Okay. Again, I'm from Ontario. I live in Ontario.
I know your pain. I grew up there.
I have a lot of Leafs followers and a lot of Leafs friends. Okay. So this is a poll. I only put it up for an hour and a half, 617 votes. So small sample size, of course. And I said, I'm seeing both sides on Twitter tonight, which I'm sure many of you have as well that are listening. I said, what are your thoughts on the play involving Corey Perry and John Tavares?
Well, clearly Perry planned the whole thing out from day one. He knew it was coming, and he preyed on him. Of course. I mean, come on. It's clearly an accident.
100%. And the final numbers end up being 4.9% said it was 100% intentional, while the other 95.1% said there's no intent to injure. And
yeah,
of course, that's where I'm going to fall as well. And it's not because I'm a Canadiens fan.
No,
it's because it was a play that was made at high speed, and nobody was going to avoid that. It was a freak thing. It's very unfortunate that a player was injured, and that was injured to that extent. And you hate seeing that kind of stuff. And you know, I was watching the game, and he started getting up, and I'm like, he probably shouldn't get up. And when he tilted back, and you know, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, let's get the doctors out there right away. And we saw that the Canadiens medical staff came out and lend a hand and everything like that. And yeah, like the 4.9, like I know there's a lot of trolls out there and everything. And there's a lot of there's a lot of accounts out there right now that say things like Leafs fan 321-838-981, and it's just these random troll accounts. And
with 3 followers, and they're just
exactly.
there as burner accounts.
Yeah, Corey Perry and John Tavares are friends.
Yeah, and
Corey Perry is not out
no
to possibly injure one of his friends or anybody long term in a play like this.
No, you can call Perry a dirty player all you
You can
want.
100%.
I mean, I've done it. I like Perry because he is greasy, but he is not one that would go out of his way to try and end someone's career with some kind of dirty hit like this. So, and then right afterwards, Nick Foligno. It's Nick Foligno.
Not Marcus Foligno. If Marcus Foligno would have fought him, yeah, Perry would be hurt. I know, but we would be talking if it was Marcus, we'd be talking about who replaces Perry in the next game, because Marcus is one tough son of a bitch.
No, I was thinking about his dad because his dad wore 71 with Toronto. But so Nick stood, he called him out for the play, I guess, following some kind of code, I guess. To me, it was an unnecessary fight.
Same.
But if the outcome of that fight was to calm down the two benches, then I'm all for it.
Agreed.
And it seemed to kind of work.
For the most part, it did. We saw a couple little, we saw Simmons give him a little hook after the play, and they cross-checked each other, and we saw a little bit of beacon back and forth. Bogosian stepped in a couple times. I agree with you. I didn't think that the fight was necessary. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of ex-players on Twitter, said that it was an unnecessary fight. We saw Shea Weber skate into the fold during this, and they said, you can only speculate what he said, but you can just imagine that it was, are we really going to do this? Yeah. And you know what? I'll say good on Perry for answering the call.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't, he would have been more of a target for the rest of the game for these different players. And he might have taken a dirty shot as retribution.
Yeah. So I like I said, I think it's an unnecessary fight, but the fact that it seemed to calm everything down, I think at the end of the day, that's what we wanted to see. We didn't 100%. Want to see retribution. And they went back to hockey. It took a little bit of time. I'd say about 4 or 5 minutes, and then the game was back on. So the back to the actual hockey. I mean, we'll talk about special teams and whatnot in our next episode. Yeah. Clearly, they need work.
Yeah, and it's those penalties as well that are gimmies. The puck over the glass. Those are the ones where you want to strike. We brought it up in the last show. These are the ones that I said I don't want the Canadians to take. Leafs all day can take them all they want, but you got to do something with them.
Yeah, but they did well on the penalty kill, even scoring a goal.
They certainly did. The game-winning goal.
Yeah, that play by Byron, that's the Byron of old.
Yeah.
He, Lehkonen won the puck battle along the boards in the zone, cleared the zone, up the ice along the boards, as we mentioned earlier.
That was Armia.
It was Armia?
Yeah, it was Armia, the one.
Okay. Well, it went up along the boards.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, as part of the game plan. Byron, being Byron, picked up the speed and ran off.
Yeah.
And then he battled through Sandin, basically tackling him, and roofed it. Just absolute freaking roof with one hand. It was a beautiful goal.
That's your new 1v1 champion right there.
Yeah,
100%.
If he were a Maple Leaf, it sure would be.
No, that would be going to the rafters.
Yeah, they'd have a statue outside for it.
Yeah.
So
good on a veteran player, another veteran that was in the lineup. Good on him for scoring that game-winning goal. Huge goal, and a big win for the Canadians tonight.
And it did seem that they looked a lot more energetic as well. That rest paid off. So now they get a day off, and they come back at it again. So basically, taking this first game, they steal home ice advantage back. And at the very least, they get a split in Toronto. And the pressure has risen in Toronto. They were the favorites, and they had to win.
Yeah, fake crowd noise is going to be just through
they'll
the
be
roof for
booing.
the next game. Oh yeah.
The fake crowd noises will be boos. It'll be boos. But yeah, no, so yeah, the pressure's on them now.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, there's about 20 minutes of a post-game show.
Yeah.
So 3 stars. You're giving 3 stars. Who are you giving your 3 stars to in this game?
So my third star I would give to. I give it to Lehkonen. I think he played a hard-nosed game. He went to the net. He was physical. Nothing fancy. He defended. He played the physical game. He played playoff hockey, which is what you want to see. Second star, wearing his jersey, power horse Josh Anderson. He was the most. He was the most. He was the best player on the ice for both teams. He was in the rush. He was shooting. He was hitting. He was everywhere. He was a playoff performer. And number one for me, got to go with Byron's for scoring the shorthanded goal. The effort that he showed. Nice veteran guy. He's got an A on his jersey for a reason. And yeah, those are my 3 stars, and well deserved for all 3 of them. And yourself.
Those are good picks.
And yourself.
For me, for the third star, I would probably. It's so hard to say, but I'll give that third star to. Shoot, it's tough to say. I'm gonna have to go with Lehkonen, just like you. He was everywhere. He did everything he had to do, all those little things that you had to do. Finished out all of his checks. Went to the net. You saw him just pissing people off in front of the net. So yeah, I'll give him the third star. He was very effective. My second star, I'm going to agree with you, is Josh Anderson. He played great for a guy who only scored 1 goal last year and was supposed to be a complete, unknown.
Yeah,
you look at Leafs Twitter and it was just constant. Anderson sucks. Slow. Spets has outscored him. Yeah, well, sorry to say, Anderson's leading the way in the playoffs.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. He was finishing. He finished his hits. He showed a ton of speed. He scored a goal. He had a couple of good chances. He was in their kitchen. He was pissing them off, and that's what you want to see.
That's right.
And my first star, I'm going to give to Carey Price. Carey Price was the Carey Price of old in that game. He was solid. He was not rattled. He was not phased. The Nylander goal, it was a good goal.
It's a good goal.
There's not much you can do on that.
Didn't have a chance.
No. So he was tracking the puck well. He was gobbling up all the rebounds. He was controlling the puck in as it rimmed around the boards. He was helping with the zone clearances. So I'm going to give him the first star.
Not arguing with that at all. He looked good.
So that is our real quick post-game episode. I want to thank everyone for listening. And if you use our code, we have a couple of little discounts to give you. We have the code unfiltered20. If you go to builtbar.com and use promo code unfiltered20, you can save yourself 10% on your purchase. If you go to East Coast Lifestyle, as Matt is wearing, you use the code unfiltered20, you can save right now, this weekend, and this weekend only. If you use promo code unfiltered20, you can save 30% on your purchase at East Coast Lifestyle. So that's unfiltered20 for both Built Bar to get 10% and East Coast Lifestyle to get 30% off. These are little gifts that we give to you, our listeners, because we love you guys so much and they pay us a little bit of money. So remember the Unfiltered 20, $25 for every win to the Canadians Children's Foundation. And again, thank you for listening. And remember, if you are talking about it, so are we.